Hey y'all, classical conditioning and unhealthy eating behaviors, they are connected. And I'll give you a little review on this. It's probably been a few years since you've thought about classical conditioning, but the proponent of it was Pavlov. He had dogs like we do. And so what happened was that Pavlov noticed when he gave his dog treats, they drooled. And each time he'd come in and give them a treat, they would drool. It got to the point that when they saw him, they would drool. And then after a while, just him opening up the door, and they would drool. So the stimulus was no longer directly connected to the response. The stimulus of giving the treat causing the drooling. It was now even just the door opening causing the drooling. So it's not just dogs that are good examples of classical conditioning through Pavlov's experiments, but also humans are. Think about, well, a personal example is that every time before the pandemic we would go to the movies, what would happen? It was an unconscious behavior, mindless behavior. We would walk immediately to the concession stand and buy the biggest box of popcorn with butter on top of it, which of course, I grew up in a family of the Clean Plate Club. People were starving in other parts of the world. You have to eat it all. So that was a very unconscious, mindless behavior response. And it was also unhealthy. So some that may be familiar for you is when you go to a coffee shop, maybe you always get a particular coffee, and you immediately get a brownie or a muffin. And for you, you may feel that this is not something that was healthy for you, that you needed, but just became immediate. You walk in the door, you order coffee, and the whole ordering of a brownie or a muffin with it, even though you've already eaten breakfast, you're full, it's not like you need to eat, but you just do it. It's a conditioned response, it's unconscious. Or maybe you go to the pub and you visit with friends. Every time you visit with friends, when you go to the pub, you always drink 2 beers, maybe get nachos, or maybe just 2 beers, but you don't want to do that. For you, you decide this is unhealthy, but it's a conditioned response. It's mindless, it's automatic. So what you can do, and I would write this down, is think about this. These are called your cues in your environment. For us, the cue was movie theater. The behavior was popcorn with butter on it, and then list your alternative behavior. So then I would write, maybe I'll just get a drink at the movie theater. And when I go to the coffee shop, latte and brownie. Alternative, maybe just a latte or an herbal drink and a muffin, or maybe just herbal drink. So I list my alternative and I stick to that. Or when you go to the pub, 2 beers, or 2 beers and nachos, and you want to change it to something else that for you would be healthier. Your alternative. Maybe you just have 1 beer and then you have 1 tonic, as in like a non-alcoholic drink. And for you, you decided that that will put you in a healthier space. So think about that. We are all Pavlov's dogs, and we're walking around with mindless behaviors all the time. Some are plenty healthy and don't need to be addressed, but some are not. And so just to put those in a more conscious sphere and create alternatives, and we no longer have to live by those Pavlovian principles if they are not serving us. So I'm curious about what some of your environmental cues are and what kinds of alternatives you want to institute into your life. So just put some of those comments down below. Thanks.